Hello, good evening, and welcome, everyone. We are here for another thrilling installment of the Weebs of the Ring podcast. I'm going to do my best for a stampede since Vash is not here. We've got a steel cage match. Cody Rhodes taking on Solo Sikoa. Is Roman Reigns going to get involved? Is the Bloodline going to get involved? Stay tuned and find out as we get on to that discussion. On top of that, we've got a new look for SmackDown. We'll touch on that a little bit. We've also got some grappling with the week. We'll talk about some things that we consumed within the wrestling world. We've also got Michin taking on Piper Niven in a very, very, very short match. Surprised we got any of that. We had a tag team match with A-Town Down Under and KO versus KO and Harry Joe possibly taking on these guys. I don't know. We'll wait and find out to see if that was actually KO's mystery partner. We had Nia Jax addressing her bad blood challenger, and we're getting an interesting tag team match. And we'll talk about that here. And as well as our main event match being Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade, match 5 in their series. Who won the match? Who's going to face LA Knight for the U.S. title? Find out when we get into it. And as always, I am your world champion. I'm one of your co-hosts for the evening. We have no Vash tonight. He is spreading the love and peace throughout the lands, but I am always joined by the genius of the ring himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I mean, it's going to be a pretty fun episode to discuss tonight, considering that we are in a new era of SmackDown, and it's pretty crazy because I remember talking about this earlier this year, and here we are now, finally here with the season premiere. It's crazy.
I know. Time is an enigma that we just cannot comprehend. Like literally, I just like you just said, I remember talking about us leaving SmackDown, not leaving SmackDown, leaving Fox and like going to the new network or going back, I think, because I think SmackDown was on USA for a bit before the move to Fox.
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check that out. But yeah, so hopefully you guys are having a. Oh yeah, the mind is a little fuzzy on those details there. But hopefully you guys in the chat are having a good time, and we're just gonna get right into it. We're gonna start off as we always do with our Friday shows because hey, sometimes the week is a little rough. Sometimes it can be a little hard on us. And the only way to deal with it is to put it in a nice old headlock and take it down to the ground. We're going to grapple with the week here. We had a few wrestling events going on this week.
I'm going to actually add something that just came in just now.
Ooh, Drop's going to add something for us.
Yeah, it literally just broke a minute ago.
Oh, wait, really? Oh, breaking news. Well, while you're getting that all together, I'm just gonna touch very briefly on AEW All Out. I got to watch some of it when it was going on live. It was a good show. Like it was really good. Like MJF and Daniel Garcia was really, really good. What was it? The world title match with Daniel Bryan and Jack Perry. I mean, it was what it was. I'm not really the biggest Jack Perry fan, but hey, that's just me. And I mean, the ending too with John Moxley. I mean, the conversation has been beaten to death all week about how brutal one can get in a match, especially when like the match following that was Swerve and Hangman in their steel cage, which ended with a syringe and a very nasty chair shot. And again, I know, the conversation's been beaten to death and all that, but I don't know. Drop, I think you got a chance to see some of All Out. What'd you think of everything?
Well, first off, I want to apologize for messing up that thing because I just copy and paste it because I want to make sure I credit the source, because I always credit the source when it comes to even fan art that I use in my videos, because I like crediting people that put in a lot of effort into their work.
Yeah.
But I did catch a couple of clips. Actually, I did catch a couple of clips of All Out. I did see what happened with Bryan Danielson after his match with
Mm-hmm.
I forgot his name, Jack Perry.
Yeah.
I did
The
see that match.
scapegoat.
One thing I will say about that is Daniel Bryan. I mean, that's how I'm so used to it. It's like flipped, but
I know, right?
But like with Bryan Danielson, he never has a bad match. So whenever you get in the
Yeah.
ring with him, he's always going to bring the best out of you. And I feel like that's probably like Jack Perry's best match period that
Mm-hmm.
he had with him. Like he really did show out. I mean, obviously we knew he wasn't going to win, but the match itself was very good. So I didn't entertain that part. One of the things that I am very interested in moving forward is this storyline that's currently going out of Moxley, how they're trying to take over the company. They're trying to do their whole invasion angle. And it's
Oh
very
yeah.
like intriguing. So I'm very curious to see where that's going to go, because a lot of people were saying that they need their own Bloodline story, and not trying to make like direct comparisons to WWE, but just saying how they really need like that big story, kind of like how we tune into Smackdown every Friday to see, okay, what's the next chapter of the Bloodline story. People would want to be turning into Dynamite every Wednesday to see exactly, okay, what's
Mm-hmm.
Moxley and everybody else up to when it comes to this whole invasion angle. And I'm pretty sure you probably heard people speculating that this could potentially lead to a Shane McMahon full on introduction towards the end, like he's pretty much orchestrating the entire thing. And I get the whole reason why
Yeah.
AEW was a thing to begin with, was for it to be its own company without any McMahon names involved. But yet again, just speaking from what I've seen recently, because I have nothing against AEW, I do enjoy watching the product and listening in
Mm-hmm.
on other podcasters when it comes to their thoughts and overall opinions on the show. But as of late, besides what's going on with Swerve and Adam Page, which is probably the best thing they have going for them right now when it comes to like an overall story within the company, it's
Mm-hmm.
things kind of changed with some people where it doesn't really feel like it's the alternative anymore. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand what you mean. Like, because yeah, a lot of people are kind of like turning on AEW in a way,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is weird. Because like, yeah, because like they'll pull the whole, oh, it's supposed to be an alternative, but now they're doing like a bunch of this sports entertainment stuff. It's just like, well, first of all, like they were kind of doing all that even before now. That, I mean, there was a bit of a dip there, like in this past summer, where it was kind of hard to watch any
Yeah,
of the weekly product. But
yeah,
yeah,
because
lately they've really been turning it up.
because a lot of their heavy hitters wasn't there. I mean, MJF
Yeah.
recently came back earlier this summer, so it was a good thing to see him come back because he brought
Hmm.
everybody in. And then,
Yeah.
but now I think I recently heard he's going to be out for a little bit, so he's going to be filming. He's going to be filming a movie.
Ooh,
So
okay.
very curious to see exactly what they're going to be doing with this whole Danny Garcia situation, because
Hmm.
since this is AEW related, he is going to be a free agent soon, so we currently don't know what his status is going to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like with MJF taking some time off to focus on what he needs to do, which all to him because he does bust his ass off. I mean, to me, he's
Mhm.
pretty much the face of the company, I mean, hands down. But
Yeah.
without him involved, and considering there was an ongoing story there, I really don't see how you factor Danny Garcia into anything that has to do with AEW. Like, to me, it wouldn't make sense just throwing him into like a random feud with somebody, considering that there was an angle towards the end of the match that could extend even further with them.
Hmm.
But to me, I don't know if they did it that way, kind of how they left it open ended to begin with, where he attacked MJF towards the end of the match,
Yeah.
to just leave it as a cliffhanger, depending on what he wants to do. But considering that MJF is gone, I'm not entirely sure what's going to be going with him. I mean, if he doesn't sign with the company, he would probably be a good fit in NXT. Wouldn't throw him on the main roster, not saying that he isn't ready or anything, but don't just put him on the main roster just to put him on the main roster. Just have
Mhm.
him do a little something on there. He could probably have a good program when it comes to getting the North American title on NXT. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. You could help him figure out a little bit more of who he is there, because that's the reason why development is a thing. And another
Yeah.
thing I do want to say, which I know has been a topic of conversation for not just All Out, but All In.
Mhm.
And I could already tell how you're gonna feel when I mention this certain person's name.
Uh-oh.
When it
Oh,
comes
no.
to Mercedes, she hasn't
Ugh.
yeah, she hasn't really like I guess the best way to say it, and this is no disrespect towards her, this has just been a common thing I've noticed when it
Mhm.
comes to the overall booking. They haven't really like yet again, she has people that like her, she has people that dislike her, but she hasn't really been portrayed the best way that I expected her to be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because you would expect something to come out of that Brit match, but it didn't. And then with that match that she recently had at All Out, nothing really came out of that. A lot of people were saying that was the weakest match on the card. I mean, Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale
Mhm.
definitely carried for the women when it came to matches for the girls that night. But it's
Yeah.
like,
And like it kind of reflects too, because I mean, obviously take what I'm about to say with the biggest like piles of salt, but like
mm,
Dave Meltzer's star ratings came out just the other day, and that one didn't even crack 3 stars, which like
ooh,
it's kind of crazy when you think about, okay, Dave Meltzer and his ratings with especially with AEW. Like it's almost very rare for some matches to be under 3 stars, and this one I think was like at a 2.75. And I, to be honest, I didn't really pay attention at during that match, but I did see the finish. And again, I hate her finisher. She just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. If only like 2 people can ever take your finisher correctly, then maybe you should change your finisher, because like
that's a
it's obviously not working.
No,
Like,
that's another thing, because like, I always enjoyed when I
mm,
watched Mercedes, I always enjoyed the bank statement. Like, whenever
mhm,
because that actually looked like a finisher where you put
yeah,
somebody in that submission, they were struggling to get out, and she always finished off her matches the best way with that. I'm not entirely sure if she uses it as much, because I only
yeah.
tune in every once in a while, so I wouldn't take
She
everything
uses she uses the backstabber part a lot more.
oh, okay.
I don't remember her doing like the submission part of it, but
Yeah, because I know the backstabber
yeah.
was the setup, and then she turned it into the
Mhm.
bank statement. Because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, just go back to the submission." I mean, all she really had to do was just change the name, because obviously you
Yeah.
can't really have the same name it was in WWE, but just apply the exact same submission hold like you did before. I mean, that
Yeah.
was one of the best things about it whenever you saw it in action. But like, and another thing to like talk about as well is like Swerve and Page. I mean,
Mhm.
that's like the best ongoing story that's currently going on in AEW. Which, kudos to them. And I do know it was controversial, considering that there was certain spots there when it came to the needle, and also when it came to the cinder block.
Mhm.
So like, I can understand why people feel the way they do. Did it
Yeah.
necessarily like bug me out? No, because I had to get put through Terrifier many times. So
Yeah.
that doesn't even touch the surface of it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why people can be turned off, because people don't want to necessarily see that stuff in wrestling. But at the same
Mhm.
time, considering the kind of feud that they have, I can understand why they went down that direction. But I can
Yeah.
also understand people's criticisms of it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I don't want to harp on it too much, because again, like
oh yeah,
people have been beating that dead horse all week long. It's just like,
yep,
you knew what was gonna happen. Like you knew they had to up the ante when freaking
yep,
Hangman is burning down somebody's
yeah,
childhood home. It's just like, okay, they have to do more than that. They have to do more than like drinking each other's blood and all that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
they have to up the ante. And I mean, yeah, it was fine. Did it make me cringe? Oh hell yeah! Like I'm somebody that hates needles. Like I hate
Oh
going
god,
to the doctors for a shot, so like having to see that, like, yeah, I cringe, but like I also knew what I signed up for when watching an unsanctioned match in AEW. But you know, I'm glad you mentioned the whole thing about Daniel Garcia and NXT and all that, because that actually kind of ties in to our next couple stories with
Oh yes.
grappling with the week. Because that's also another hot topic that people online have been talking about.
Mm,
So the whole idea of NXT. So first of all, we had Julia have her first official match in WWE, which
yeah.
I did get to see, and I thought it was really good. You know, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
was it the best thing? No, and you know, I'm sure there were people complaining that this should have been a squash match, but it's like, well,
I did
no,
see that.
because I I did hear a couple complaints like that, but it's like, okay, I part of me gets that, but at the same time, it's like WWE now, like their system, and especially when they bring somebody new in, you
Yeah.
kind of want to somewhat showcase them. Like you don't want to show what like all that they can do, but you want to show enough to be like, okay, this is what Julia is. And I
Yeah.
think that's why like somebody like Chelsea Green is the perfect first opponent for that. Cause she's like she can eat a loss like this, like easily. It's like she can bounce back from something like that very easily. But like
Hmm.
she's also the type of star, and like her style too in the ring is like, oh, I'm gonna take any advantage I can get. So like her like getting like a cheap one up on Julia is fine because hey,
Hmm.
Julia quick like as soon as she is able to get her breath back, she's able to like just give Chelsea that knee to the face and go over on her and all that. But like we had Julia have her first match, and then you know it looks like PW Insider giving us the official because this has been like a rumor going on for quite a while now, and it looks like
Hmm.
again PW Insider giving us the official report here that the Motor City Machine Guns have signed with WWE. And the whole story with that was them going to NXT. And
Hmm.
that's been a hot topic with people because they're like, oh, why are they going to NXT? Why are they going to developmental? Well, it kind of makes sense. And like uh my biggest example of this, and I wish I looked up which interview this was, but there was an interview that AJ Styles did,
Yeah.
and he had mentioned that when he first went to WWE, you know, he was thrown right into the main roster, which I mean, a
Hmm.
star like AJ Styles, I mean, yeah. Yes, he should be main roster, but he even said he was like, I kind of wish I was in the NXT system cuz it would have helped him like adjust to the WWE style a lot easier. And that's what we're doing right now with NXT. It's like, okay, yes, there's developmental and all that, but like you kind of look at it in a different level of developmental. It's like, okay, yes, it's developmental for like new talent, but like for talent coming into WWE, it's developmental because they have to develop into the WWE style. So you see how like that word, ladies and gentlemen, makes like it has a different meaning when it comes to like stars like Julia and like the Motor City Machine Guns because it's like they need to get adjusted not only to the WWE style of wrestling but also the WWE schedule of like shows and all that. And like I know
Yeah.
NXT doesn't do as much as the main roster, but it's still enough to be like, okay, here's what we're all about. This is what we need to do and all that. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts about all that because, like, again, it's been kind of a hot topic within the IWC this week about like NXT and developmental and whether stars like this should be in that kind of
Yeah.
system.
So when it comes to like Julia, I did like her presentation because,
Mm,
like I mentioned many times on this show, and just like Watkins and Bash has mentioned as well, first impressions are everything because you put on a good first impression, people are going to be interested. It's kind of like
mhm.
when you're watching a new show for the very first time. The first episode is supposed to draw you in, so you're invested to watch the second and the third and the fourth episode, etc., so on, so you can get fully in sync with it. So the way that they handled Julia, I like that entrance, perfect presentation when it comes to her outfits. Like I mentioned earlier this week, she has a lot of drip on her. Perfect. Um, showing her wrestling style in the ring, because she did come from Stardom, so they're a lot more stiff around there when it comes to how hard hitting they are and stuff. And Chelsea Green's was also the perfect opponent from her, considering that she has also spent some time in Stardom before, so she's used to certain competitors from there. So
Yeah.
I was completely okay with the presentation of the match. It did what it needed to do. Obviously, they're going to show off whatever else Julia is capable of when she goes up against Roxanne, because you don't want to spoil everything in the first match. They want to take their time with it. I want to give her credit on her English, because she has been studying English for quite some time
Mm-hmm.
now. And it comes out naturally for her, really. Like when she's talking, it seems fluent. Obviously, over time, it's going to continue getting better, because that's what happens. The more you study, the more you improve.
Yeah.
So I'm really liking it. I'm liking how she's being handled with the Motor City Machine Guns. Shout out to PW Insider and PWN for reporting that news, because, like Watkins said, this has been a hot topic. And I feel like this is a good thing, because I did see the AJ Styles interview throughout the week, like you mentioned, when it
Mm-hmm.
came to him saying how he wanted to start off in NXT. Because when people hear, oh, this certain tag team's getting sent to NXT if they sign, or this new singles wrestler that's like hot on the market, like Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, because we know Stephanie Vaquer is going to be on NXT as well. A
Yeah.
lot of people look at that as a bad thing, like it's a downgrade, but it's not, because I'm going to say this. Why would you want to throw somebody like Stephanie Vaquer on the main roster right away? I mean, she's
Yeah.
definitely like ready for it. I mean, you could put her there at any point, but why would you want to throw her on there without a game plan? Because when you
Mm-hmm.
bring people to the main roster, you want to make sure that you have a game plan with them, so they're not
Yeah.
just there just for show, appear maybe every once in a blue moon. Like, you want to make sure that you have a solid plan with them, because you look at the women's division right now on Raw. Main event scene is Rhea and Liv's feud. You look at what's happening on SmackDown. You got Nia and her shenanigans with Tiffany, Bailey, and what we saw tonight with Naomi. So you have a lot of different things going on. So you can't really just place her there just to place her there. So putting her on NXT gets her familiar with the system, because she's coming from a different company. So with her going to NXT, it helps her with that transition, just like how it is with Julia, so they can get used to the whole system. And with the Motor City Machine Guns, obviously they're going to be on the main roster, just like the other two names that I talked about, but they're there for the time being to get used to the system, and also just put on great matches and have
Yeah.
these people down there get familiar with them. So then once they make that transition to the main roster, everybody will know who they are. So I'm very happy about that, because it's just nice that, Shawn Michaels has more people to work with, because you got to realize over time, especially when the draft comes every year, you're going to have people coming up from NXT to the main roster. So Shawn needs more people to work with, so NXT can still be a thing, and he has entertainment to provide us each every Tuesday or whenever a PLE comes out. So I'm completely okay with how they're structuring everything. I have no issues with it at all.
Yeah, me either. Because I mean, again, like these people need to get adjusted to a new style and be able to showcase what they're all about within the new place that they're in. Sydney, why
Hmm.
would you drop your bone? Are you good? You're good, girl. Okay, great. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see them. Honestly, with Motor City Machine Guns in
I heard a lot of good things
NXT.
about him.
Oh yeah, same here. But like, I kind of how the tag team divisions are right now on Raw and SmackDown. I would rather Motor City Machine Guns be on NXT.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I feel like right now they would be getting a better showcase than if they were on the main roster. So yeah, be an
Mm.
NXT for a bit, guys. Learn the style, learn it, and also like I think I was listening to it was one of Cultaholic's news videos this morning, and they had mentioned too like this would be a good way because like they're both kind of getting up in their ages too. I think they're like in their early 40s, like 41, 42 or something.
Say that again.
But I think so. so somebody correct me if I'm wrong too with this. Like, because I was
Mm,
listening to Cultaholic's news videos this morning, and they had
yeah.
mentioned something about how Motor City Machine Guns could also be doing like a player coach type of thing in NXT, where it's like, okay, we're gonna be, doing matches and getting pushed and all that, but like also taking a step back and like kind of coaching new tag teams or younger talent, all that stuff. Um, because I think I saw somewhere too where it's just like they were like in their 40s or like early 40s or whatever.
Hmm.
But again, I don't know how accurate that is, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
entirely sure either.
yeah. But I don't know. Was there any other wrestling bits of news you wanted to bring up in our little grappling with the Reek segment?
Other than that, really, that's it. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest highlight throughout the week, I would probably have to say, is the discussion on All Out and our new signing tonight. Really, I mean that's just a
Mhm.
conversation that's starting right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
other than that, I feel like are ready to jump into the main show. A lot to talk
Oh
about.
yes. And the main show we are going to jump into because we're going to start with our headline story, and this is going to be a bit of a different headline story than
It's gonna
usual
be
because
fun.
I oh yeah. Because like I wanted to highlight this because SmackDown now has a new look. We have new graphics. We have a
Hmm.
new opening song by
Yeah,
Megan the Stallion, which yes, you're Megan, you are making me more of a fan of you each and every single day. So we've got a new opening song with her. We've got possible new entrance music for people coming up.
mm,
Uh, which you know what? Let's touch base on that really quick. So
yeah.
apparently, Def Rebels, like, and this is just like a rumor going around. Like,
Yeah.
take this with a grain of salt, people.
I'm
But
pretty sure it's gonna
apparently,
come into fruition though.
oh, same here because
We
like
can only
these
pray.
were yeah, these rumors were going on like earlier this year too.
Oh yeah.
Um, but like so Def Rebel's contract is expiring fairly soon, and it looks like they're not going to be re-signed by WWE, which oh thank God. Thank
Yeah.
God. We're actually going to be getting actual songs soon for our
Yeah.
superstars. Like
Mm.
I'm excited for that because like now people can actually have an identity besides being like,
And Seth,
yeah.
well, say what you're gonna say. I was just drinking my
Oh,
coffee.
besides being like, oh, it's TV time. Like what? Like I can't even remember
No.
some of these theme songs because it's like, oh, we have Alpha Academy, which used to be just like shoosh. Uh, at least that one I can kind of remember. But like American Made, for example, I don't even know what their theme song sounds like,
No.
and yet you have Wyatt Six with an actual song, but
Yeah.
that's besides the point. But like I'm just glad people are gonna have personalities again with their entrances.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that too because like obviously with certain people, I would keep it the way it is. Like if LA Knight's new
Mhm.
remix of his song that's not done by Def Rebel, you can keep that because I mean
Yeah.
everybody pretty much recognizes him by that song. So he already has an
Mhm.
identity there with that song. But it's like people that really need it because a good example of like complete confusion is if you saw clips of Seth Rollins this year at the Royal Rumble when he was like sitting ringside. Well, he wasn't sitting ringside, but he was sitting like in the bleachers or whatever,
Yeah.
and you saw like the look on his face. He was trying to figure out exactly who was coming out because he couldn't really tell who was coming out because of a lot of the entrance music that a lot of these wrestlers have right now are very generic, and that's why WWE gets a lot of flack because of that.
Mhm.
Because it seems like they're not really trying with the entrance music that they have now. It seems like they're putting it in like an AI generator, and whatever
Yeah.
comes out, they use it. So I'm glad that we're gonna actually have like actual entrance music for people that actually need it. Because I'm not expecting like everybody to have it, but at least when it comes to certain people that matter, because the people that matter on the show are gonna have like special entrance music. Like hypothetically, if they wanted to do something with Seth Rollins in the future, they wanted to add lyrics to his music, because I could definitely see him having some sort of heavy metal song, because that definitely fits Seth Rollins. So I could definitely see something like that happening. But it's like stuff with Cody Rhodes. I mean, that's his song. You couldn't get Cody Rhodes without that song. I don't see that changing, obviously, and I would never want that to change, because that's a
kind
great
of the same with CM Punk too. Like,
oh yeah,
like you can't really get rid of that. But like people, okay, another good example too is Sheamus. Like, first of all, why did you even change his music? Like,
that's why I didn't understand.
Yeah.
It was so random. It's like you brought it back. People were happy. We haven't heard it for years. And then all of a sudden you bring this generic music for what reason? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, we bring it back, but then we're going to take it away from you. It's kind of like you're like teasing a kid, where it's like you got candy from them and then you take it away and they start crying. It's like, why are you taking that away?
Oh, you want this 6-year-old pop kid? Nah, fuck you.
And even with dirt. Like, and now like, I would even change like Austin Theory's theme to like that bottle and champagne. Just make it a actual thing now.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I was gonna ask you, what wrestlers would you say like you would like to see a change like that? Like, obviously the ones like Roman and Cody and Punk and all of them. Obviously, we're not gonna really expect any changes with that. I don't see anything happening with Rhea either, or Becky whenever she comes back, if she comes back. But like Rhea especially, I don't see anything changing from her. But what wrestlers could you potentially see getting that change?
For some reason, the first one that comes to my mind is Damian Priest, because I can't even think of what his music, except for the beginning of "Oh Rise." It's like,
that's something that needs to change. Cool. That's actually something that needs to change, because I feel like they do that for a reason, because they want you to know who's coming out. That definitely needs to change, because we don't need that.
No, we don't. Like, I mean, okay, I'm gonna bring up Sheamus again, because like Sheamus is a good example of like having an intro for your entrance song that works out really well. Because like, man, I just loved having the bagpipes like just playing, swelling up to like when you do the spotlight scene of Sheamus on the ramp and all that. And even when they did change it to like his old song, like to me, it didn't really work out too well, but like at least the flow of his entrance worked out well with the intro into the song. But yeah, then they changed it. It's just like, why? I
didn't understand it. It was like, because they say Triple H is active on like he's active with what he sees online. So it's like I'm pretty sure he saw like all of the backlash over that. I mean, it'd be hard not to see that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably why they're not renewing Def Rebel's freaking contract.
Oh no,
because it's just like, oh, look what you did. Look what you did to our boy.
Thank God.
Yeah. And you know what, Triple H, if you somehow have stumbled upon this podcast and stumbled upon this moment of time in this podcast, I'm just gonna throw it out right now. What's up with your tag team division? What are you doing? What's going on? Like,
to bring back SOS for Kofi Kingston.
You know what? I wouldn't mind
because I have a feeling they're gonna be splitting up New Day around their 10th anniversary. As much as I don't want to see it,
I don't want it. I don't want it. They were kind of on the same page this week. They were happy together. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. I don't want it. I don't. I will literally cry on camera if it happens.
Now that I think about it, I don't know if they are, because he doesn't do that gimmick anymore. So it kind of wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. Okay. Oh yeah. Perfect one. Get Bailey. Change Bailey.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, I was
give her a Paramore song. Give her a Paramore theme song. Something that she that would make her day.
Yeah. Instead of the see, I was never a fan of her song when it changed. Like when she changed
No.
like into like the role model, like the role model gimmick was fine, but
Oh
like
yeah.
when she changed songs, it was too close to Seth Rollins's at the time
Oh
because
yeah, it
like
was.
they had like very similar ones because he was doing like the Messiah gimmick at the time. So it's like
Hmm.
they both
I
had like
remember
these
that.
chanting things, and then you have Roman with his chanting music, like, what are you doing, dude? But like from like the music too, it's like we also got some different visuals too from SmackDown. Like
I
again,
like
like the
that.
new logo and all that, but like something else too, like the superstar pictures for like the matches. Like we're doing like
Oh
this
god.
black and white kind of chrome look with
You saw
everything.
the Mello and Andrade moving graphic, right?
Yeah, oh my god, it looks so good. But like I'm just so excited. Like again, this is just another step forward in the production area, like they started doing it with the camera work earlier this year. Now they're starting to do it with like more of like the visual aspect of it. And I'm wondering too, like I know we didn't get much of it on like Raw season premiere,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering how much Raw is gonna like upgrade too after all this.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like you would think after the move to Netflix, they would make a big upgrade.
Oh yeah. They're probably gonna be getting a new logo. They'll probably get a new opening song. And
Mhm.
I feel like probably I mean, I'm pretty confident around like Rumble season, like especially in January, we're probably gonna see a lot of these changes come in effect when it comes to
Yeah.
like the new entrance music for certain superstars, and when it comes to like the just basically everything's probably gonna be fully established once
Mhm.
Raw is officially on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because you could because like you mentioned earlier, we heard reports about all this music stuff earlier in the year, and now it's fine, and now it's coming up again. So 9 times out of 10, when you hear something frequently getting brought up, more than
Mhm.
likely it's going to be a thing. So I'm pretty confident around like January, everything's going to be established. You'll see it roll out a little bit more throughout the year, and I expect 2025 is going to be completely different because once
Oh, yeah.
January 6th hits, that's like the complete reset. Like that's pretty much like even though it's under a new regime, that's you got SmackDown at a new home, NXT is going to be at a new home next month, and then Raw is going to be at a new home in January.
Mhm.
So once we hit that January 6th, it's like we're officially out of that old regime, even though we are now, but we're away from
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and, like,
But
it's
I'm gonna have to get a
been
Netflix subscription too. I don't have one.
oh, yeah. And yeah, it's been like like subtle changes here. Well, I guess not really subtle because we've
Mm,
noticed them, but like they've been just little simple changes
mm.
to the product that just enhanced it greatly. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know, tonight just it enhanced it again. It like they went up a whole other level with everything. So, yeah, I mean, was there anything else you noticed about like some of the SmackDown new look? I mean, again, like they had new graphics everywhere. They had a new like
Um,
ring and all that.
After seeing like the full on presentation of the graphic like on television, I like it a lot more because at first I didn't really like
Hmm.
it, but now
Yeah.
seeing it in motion, I like it. But like other than that, like I mentioned before, with like the moving graphics, I really do like that. Um,
Hmm.
my eyes could have been playing tricks on me, but I believe some people had some new renders too. I think that was a new
Yeah, I
render for
think
Bailey. I
so.
could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check, but I think so
Looks a
because
lot
it
more
did look
creative.
different. Yeah.
Looks a lot more creative because if you compare this to like what we saw last week, I mean, at least it stands out a little bit more. It looks a little bit different, a lot more creativity put into it.
Hmm. They actually tried. Go
Yeah.
figure what happens when you actually try.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh boy, but okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and move on then, because we had finally, after we're like what 40, oh gosh, we are 40 minutes into the night, but hey, we're having a good time. We're having nice, fun conversations going on as I realize, oh, I forgot to do my banners for the the live stream here, but it's fine because we're gonna move on to our show. SmackDown happened, and it started with a 30-minute, almost 40-minute, no commercial break segment. And it was really just this match between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa inside of a steel cage for the WWE title. This might have been the best that Solo has looked, dare I say, all year. Like, Solo stepped up tonight. Like, everyone was stepping up tonight, like bringing their A game and all that. Like, but I want to at least highlight Solo because like he's been getting like a lot of criticism, especially since Jacob Fatu's been on the roster. But Solo really stepped it up tonight, I thought.
Oh yeah. Well, honestly, like I'll have to agree with you too because
Mm-hmm.
this has been the best presentation of Solo probably ever since he joined the Bloodline. If I'm being 100% honest,
Yeah,
because you know, at first he was like the enforcer of Roman. We saw him take part in matches, and they were okay. But like for the most part, like what we saw right here with Cody and Solo, they allowed these guys to go out and do their thing, and I really appreciated that because they obviously wanted to make a statement. This was the season premiere of SmackDown, so they
yep,
obviously wanted to go out there, put on a show to open up the season premiere, and I could really appreciate that because there was a lot of good spots in this match. I almost thought at first Cody was going to do the infamous AEW spot where he did the moonsault because he
I
was
thought
heading
so
all the way
too.
up on the top of the cage, but then he ended up doing a crossbody, which is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I just liked how these guys just took full advantage of that cage and they were going out there and doing their thing.
Yeah,
And that's something I can really appreciate it because we have matches like this, especially when it comes to steel cage matches. We don't have them often. So when we do
mm-hmm.
see them, it's nice to fully embrace the match itself instead of just being like, oh, okay, we're in a ring. We're just going to do a couple of grapples and big moves and pin each other. Like, I like how they actually went out there and did their own thing
Yeah,
because just like looking at our notes right now, I think one of the things that I really did like that they did here that I wasn't expecting at first was like the
mm-hmm.
8K because they normally do that on
Oh yeah,
PLEs. So I was caught off guard with that, but they did the 8K when Cody and Solo were in the ring. So I really did like that. And I
mm-hmm.
believe they also did that with Roman a little bit later when he came out towards the end of the
Yeah,
show, which was really nice. I would like to see that often more because if you really want to like showcase your camera work and like really put it out there, I mean, yes, if you want it to be a special thing every so often, I can understand why you want to use it for like certain people or whatever. But like when somebody like Randy comes out, for example, like we saw recently, or when it comes to somebody like even with Shinsuke Nakamura, if you remember a little while ago when he came out with his entrance, he had like that AK where he was like dancing around as he was going down the ramp. Like I would
mm-hmm.
love to see it addressed more for like certain occasions, not like every person come out and it's like completely 8K, but I want you to like, at least embrace it a little more.
Yeah,
Not and I like how there's blood in this match, which was really good
mm-hmm.
as well because when it calls for it, it makes sense to add blood because you want to make sure that you're not overexposing yourself when it comes to adding color and matches because you don't necessarily need color in like every single match. Like even if it's like
Yeah,
a match where these two people want to go at each other or whatever, if it calls for it, do it, but you don't necessarily need to do it because when you see stuff like that, it's supposed to be treated as something special because it's not something that happens that often. So I liked how blood was added into this match because it was showing the intensity of this match. It was showing like,
mm-hmm.
okay, you know, we have a hot feud between Cody and Solo that's been going on for quite some time. So obviously it makes sense why they went down this direction with this. So I was really happy about that. And I'm pretty sure Cody was happy about that as well, because he always loves to bleed. That's just an ongoing
Oh
meme with
yeah,
Cody. So I'm really happy that he was able to add some color in there. That was really nice. I
mm-hmm.
love the superplex from on top of the steel cage. That was really nice. The
Yeah.
Cody cutter that he did was really nice too. I love that.
Yeah, they had a bit of a rough landing with that
I did
superplex.
notice. I did
Yeah.
notice that. And
Um.
I also like how we got a little shout out to Jason Voorhees on here. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Well, I mean, I messaged you in our group chat with it.
yeah.
Corey Graves with the the Friday the 13th reference, just
Yeah, it
saying,
was
"Oh,
nice.
this steel cage is more dangerous than Crystal Lake." I'm just like that actually got my attention because I'm like, wait, hold on. Like that was one of those instances where commentary wasn't just white noise to me. I was like, oh wait, that was a good one, Corey. You did a good one. Him and Cole were like on point tonight too. Like again, everybody was just like on their A game tonight for the season premiere.
Oh yeah, I loved it. They were all out. There was a
Mhm.
lot of love put into this show tonight. I will say that.
Oh yeah. Now, one thing I do want to mention too, with like the way the match was going and structured and all that, I like how at certain moments we had Cody trying to escape the cage, and
Yes.
normally, first of all, that's usually like a heel tactic, or if the babyface does that, you'll have like the color commentator being like, "Oh, they're just a coward. They're trying to leave the cage. They don't want to, win by pinfall or submission or anything like that." So I like here where like even when Cody was doing it, whether he was like trying to climb the cage or like the one moment that is probably gonna live with me is where Solo did the hip attack to the corner, but Cody was on the corner where the door was. So after Solo did the move and he's like gloating and,
Uh,
um, doing the stance and all that for like, giving him the ones and all that,
mm,
Cody asked for the door to be open and he was trying to roll
yeah.
it out of the ring. It's just like, oh, that is smart.
Mm.
Yes.
I will say one thing about the door, and I'm not entirely
Mhm.
sure if I feel the same way about the door. This has nothing to do with the match that Cody and Solo put on tonight because the match was fantastic. I loved every little thing about it. The full match itself, what happened afterwards. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm the only one that feels this way, like I said, but I'm not really a big fan of the door being opened in the steel cage matches, only
Oh, for like an
because
escape and all
yeah,
that?
only because it seems
Okay.
like very cheesy because it's like, okay, the door's open, get out there. Like when I played the games, and I still
Mhm.
play the games. So when I played the games, I always tried to climb out of the cage or I was wrestling my opponent enough in the ring and pin them. I never really liked going out of the door for some reason because I always felt like it was a cheesy way to end the match. I'm not entirely
Mhm.
sure if I feel that way, but it just seems a little weird to me. It's like, oh, the ref has the door open, you could escape that way. It's like I don't know if am I the only person that feels that way or
No, I mean, I get that, like, because
I
that's the thing,
understand
like,
why it's
with
a thing, but I don't
mhm.
know.
Well, like, that's the thing, it's like, there's more tension when you're climbing like, trying to escape by
Yeah.
climbing over the cage compared to opening the door and trying to get out. Because like, even when you're playing, like, the 2K games, you still have to do, like, the button mash mini game to
Yeah.
leave the doorway, and it's just
Yeah.
like, "Wait, why am I doing that? Why am I taking so forever to get out of the ring this way when like in normal matches I can just jump out
Yeah.
of the ring if I wanted to."
Yeah. I just feel
So,
like it's earned a lot better if you like either
mhm,
climb over the steel cage to get out or you put a lot of damage onto your opponent and you pin them or submit them in the match.
yeah. So I understand your sentiment. It doesn't really bother
Mm,
me too much because like
yeah.
again, I'm just like okay, like especially again in this match
Mm,
with Cody like
yeah.
being smart
Yeah.
about it and him being praised for being smart rather than like
Yeah.
the old well of
If
oh
they
he's a coward.
Oh yeah. Well, if they use it like mainly like what I was like saying is like it's
Yeah.
just the whole idea in itself, the whole match itself, the way that they
Hmm.
orchestrated it made sense because Cody mainly used it as a strategy just to outsmart Solo to like just hit him in the head or just
Hmm.
pretty much catch him off guard so he can get the advantage in that moment. So I didn't really have any issues with it. It's just like I don't know, it's just something that I've always noticed but never really spoke on.
Yeah.
But oh, I don't know, man. This match they did
I mean, it was
very, very
good.
good. Yeah, they did very
They
good.
did really
They
good.
didn't
Like
have
this
to
was.
get all nasty and like
Mm-mm.
beat each other up to like a bloody pulp or anything. They did what needed to be done.
Yeah,
They did their
exactly.
homework correctly. They passed the test.
Like honestly, this could have been on a pay per view. This should
It
have
felt
been the
like it.
SummerSlam match.
It felt
Like,
like it's that a lot of people are in agreement with me
mhm.
included that this is definitely was million times better than their SummerSlam match.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I think part of that too. is the fact that we didn't get any interference. Like it was strictly one-on-one. We didn't get any bloodline shenanigans going on until the end when they showed up and decided to beat up Cody inside of the cage. Because I even made this kind of as a little jab too. Like the whole idea of the steel cage match to keep people out is kind of irrelevant nowadays because like we've seen countless times people either climbing the cage to get in or even like knocking the referee over and getting in the cage through the door and all that. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just glad we actually got a one-on-one match before the bloodlines decided to come out and everything.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, after an awesome match with like a lot of good spots, like we had some good Cody cutters again, that superplex from the top of the cage, Cody's crossbody, which again I was in the same boat as you. I thought we were going to be seeing that moonsault again, but
Yeah, I
I
did
guess
too.
Cody, yeah, I guess Cody kind of wants to preserve his health a little bit better.
Smart,
Um, yeah, very smart.
especially
I
since
also
he's
go ahead.
like their one of their top guys, so it's best to
Yeah.
play the cards correctly. If it was on like a normal like top rope spot, I'm pretty sure it would have been
Mhm.
fine, but you got to be
Yeah.
careful when you do those high moves all the way up there.
You really do. Like even the crossbody he did, I kind of felt bad for because it
Mm.
looked like he kind of landed on Solo, not like rough, but he kind of
Was
landed on him hard.
wasn't there like a spot in the match? I mentioned this with Mello. We'll get into that later, but was there like
Mhm.
a spot in the match where it seemed like he might have accidentally like took a bump from Solo from like a certain move, or I might be thinking of something
I
else.
think so. I mean, it might honestly, it might have been the superplex spot because
Was that when
he
he?
did land pretty hard, like on like
Yeah,
really like the middle of his neck almost.
yeah.
So and maybe that
Rest
spot like
up.
that's the one I keep thinking of.
Yeah, rest up.
Yeah, yeah, please rest up, Cody. Like, make sure you're fine, buddy. But I do want to mention this too, while we're here with this, because I made a comment in our group chat about how and this happens every time I
SmackDown chat.
watch I think it was in our Weebs of the Ring chat. This was
Oh,
like a
okay.
couple days ago, I think. Because like
Uh,
I always kind of get this weird mindset after funny enough, after I watch an AEW event, um,
yeah.
where I start kind of noticing just how stiff AEW are compared to
Oh
WWE,
yeah. Oh yeah. I
you
remember you
know,
bringing this up now.
and I kind of noticed this tonight. People, guys and girls were kind of hitting each other just a little bit harder tonight. So I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what was that just me noticing that, or did you kind of notice that too at
No, I
times?
noticed that too, and that was like stemming off of like NXT too, like what I saw with
Hmm.
Julia, considering
Yeah.
that's kind of like her fighting style that she's like used to, or like fighting
Hmm.
wrestling style that she's used to. But I did notice that. I don't know if they were like trying to, you know, up up the playing field a little bit tonight, considering it was the season premiere, so they wanted to make a statement in a way, or just
Yeah.
try to, throw throw a ball, hit a home run, or yeah,
Hmm.
or whatever analogy I'm trying to come up with in my head. I feel like they might have went the extra mile tonight just because it was the season premiere, and like we discussed before, you want to make a good first impression, considering that this is a new home for SmackDown. This is
Yeah.
a new era for SmackDown, new logo, theme song, and everything. So it could have just been them wanting to make a statement tonight. But I did notice that, like, even with like other matches that we'll get into later, that was definitely a reoccurring theme that I did notice throughout the
Hmm.
show.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm not crazy. Perfect. Love
No.
to hear it. But yeah, so Cody wins and he's celebrating a little bit. I like too with this part. It's like Cody wins and we kind of don't waste time with the bloodline coming out, but like
Hmm.
I like it how they did it because it's like it's during the recap or like the what's the word again? Like the mm,
What, the play-by-play or not play-by-play?
No, the why am I blanking on the word? I guess just the recap of the ending. We'll just go with that wording.
hmm.
Replay. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm thinking of. Like the
Oh,
replay
okay.
of the ending of the match and all that, and like how during that was when the bloodline was coming out, and you can hear Michael Cole being like, "Wait, hold on, we need to get back into this because wait, hold on, these guys are coming out." But so like I don't know, it's one of those touches that just kind of makes the whole product feel a little better. I think one nitpick I would have had with that, at least on the production side, maybe actually cut the replay when Michael Cole was just like, "Hey, what the hell's going on right here?" Like, I think that would be my only nitpick with it. But yeah, so like the Bloodline's coming out, they're gonna attack Cody, kind of get their heat back, and of course,
Mm.
with Roman being back here and being in the building, he's going to come out. He's going to help Cody, and
Oh yeah.
they end up standing tall. We get a tease of Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah, you that
Um,
that that just shows you right there off the bat that they are thinking of that match, and they want to
mhm,
play their cards correctly with that, because they do see Jacob Fatu as like one of the people that they definitely want to push to the top in the future.
oh
Like
yeah,
Jacob Fatu, like we've discussed many times on the podcast before, he's definitely going to be a key player, especially when it comes to
hmm
like a lot of main eventers. Like you're gonna see Jacob Fatu with the main title. You're gonna see him racking up a lot of wins. You're gonna see him putting on a lot of classics like that. They haven't even touched the surface with
yeah,
Jacob Fatu. So I am honestly super excited just to see him and Roman together in a match
hmm
that we will get into in just a little bit, because we are on the segment right now. But you could tell right off the bat that yes, we know you want this match and you will get it, but you're gonna have to wait, which I'm
yeah.
fine with because I'm in no rush for anything. So
No, I'm not either, and especially with like this bloodline stuff, they really do like to cook. They like
yeah,
to slow cook it,
especially Jacob
so
Fatu, they give him a lot of key spots,
they really
lot of
do.
key spots.
And I mean that's why again, like earlier,
Great signing.
oh gosh, they got lucky with that one. But yeah, that's why again, I mean, I wanted to highlight Solo at that part because I think
Mm,
he was looking at those, I think he saw those criticisms and was just like, okay, you know what? I get it. Cause yes, Jacob is awesome,
mm.
but I'm the de facto leader of this bloodline junior. I kind of need to show off too. So yeah, again, but so yeah, we have the beatdown. Cody saves Roman this time. Good
Mm.
good kind of
Oh,
twist
this is gonna be fun
turnaround
to
with
get
all
into.
that. Oh yeah. And we had a challenge thrown out.
Ooh,
Solo and Jacob taking on Roman and a partner of his, possibly Cody Rhodes, which
bad
Cody
brother.
at first didn't want to, and then he came
Yeah.
around to it.
Mm-hmm.
And people were uh people were kind of confused with Cody coming back out, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they
Like,
were.
because like
Oh boy.
because Roman comes back out like last segment of the night. In fact, we even went like almost 10 minutes overtime. But
Yeah,
like
we
he
did
comes
actually.
out, yeah, and he's like, "Okay, look, I don't need anybody's help. I really don't need anybody's help. This is bloodline issues. I definitely don't
Hmm.
need Cody's help because he's going on about how this is his ring in his WWE, and it's just like, well, hold on, buddy,
It
because it's
was.
not
Mm.
like." But apparently, I guess people are confused why Cody decided to come out there. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like
Yeah.
Roman was talking shit, saying, "Hey, this is my stuff. This is my yard now." It's just like, well, no, it's not. It hasn't been yours since Mania. Back
Mm-hmm.
away, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the share my thoughts on that, because you guys probably noticed I was excited to get into this, and I even talked to Watkins before we went on air to discuss this
Yeah.
part of the show. But I noticed that there was like a lot of people online confused with the way that Cody was acting. Even people at attendance at the show today seems very confused with how Cody was wording things when it came to his interactions with Roman tonight. And to like break it down to help people understand,
Mm-hmm.
if you were in Cody's shoes and you followed the journey, or not journey, if you followed the rivalry that he had with Romans, not just this year, but last year, and just analyzing the history between the both of them,
Yeah.
why would you really think Cody would be like, you know what, Roman, let's push everything to the side and let's work together and become best friends?
Yeah.
Because the analogy that I came up with is, imagine you're a kid at school, you're trying to go to school, you're, trying to do your work or whatever the case may be, and you have a few friends there, but then you run into the school bully, and the school bully is always pushing around the hallway. He's always calling you a lot of names, and then you eventually stand up to that bully. You end up putting the bully down, and then a lot of people respect you, and they're like, oh my God, you stuck up to him. That was really
Mm-hmm.
brave of you to do that. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, Cody finally stood up to Roman Reigns. He pinned him at WrestleMania. Just like he said, he took everything away from him. If you guys recall that promo that he cut on Roman earlier this year, me beating you at WrestleMania is not just taking the title, it's taking everything away from you, which he did. He took the title, and he pretty much took the top guy, he pretty much took the number one top guy spot from Roman when he was
Mm-hmm.
gone. So ever since Roman was gone, Cody's been the leader of WWE. He's been on
Yeah.
top. He's been selling a lot of merch. He's been having the whole spotlight on him. So for Cody to react that way, saying that he doesn't want to get involved at Roman, it makes sense because, like he told Nick Aldis, this is Roman and his family's business. It doesn't include me, which makes sense
Yeah.
because it is a thing between family, like it's been established ever since Roman left, and Solo was trying to create this whole faction. Solo was trying to create this whole faction to begin with. So by Cody coming out later to confront Roman of his actions, saying, well, it was until I beat you at WrestleMania, it makes sense because he took all the pieces that would have made him the top dog that he was before. So the way that Cody was acting around Roman tonight, it made perfect sense because there was logic behind it. They
Mm-hmm.
explained it. It made sense because if this was the old regime, they would have just glanced over it and not
Yeah.
said it and not said anything and just forget about any logic that was put into that at all. So I liked how there was logic included in this. So it helped us understand why Cody felt the way he did. Because if any of us was put in this scenario like Cody was, we would have reacted the exact same way. It's not Cody trying to get heat. It's not Cody turning heel, which was a bizarre term that I saw thrown out
Yeah,
tonight.
that's weird.
Cody's not turning heel just because he says, well, it was your ring, but not anymore since I beat at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. You saw everything play out this year. That's why it really baffles me sometimes when it comes to like how people in the community think, because sometimes I feel like they're very simple minded where they take
Mm-hmm.
things at face value. They don't really take time to understand exactly what's going on with the product that they're watching, because the
Yeah.
way that these people were interacting with each other, even what Roman said on the ring tonight, he's like, this is family business. I don't even need Cody. You have Roman right there saying that he doesn't want any business with Cody, and Cody doesn't want any business with Roman. So you could tell just right off of that, they don't really want to work with each other. And you know what the best part about that? We're going to see development between both of them. We're going to see
Mm-hmm.
how they get on the same page. And this isn't going to be the only time we're going to be seeing this, because once we eventually get that War Games match, where it's Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, you're going to have to see Roman have a similar um relationship being rebuilt with Jey Uso.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to see him build a new relationship with Jimmy. If Jimmy has any ill will towards Roman because of how he treated him before,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to see. Well, I'm basically like Jay would be the catalyst of that, but you're gonna see the exact same like story being played out again. So don't complain about what's going on right here if you're gonna end up seeing um more versions of that in the future, because Jay's could be like, oh, Roman, let's team up, let's work together. And then Jay's gonna completely forget about how Roman treated him like shit and did all this stuff to him and used him as like a punching bag. Like,
Hmm.
Jay had every reason to leave. So you're
Exactly.
gonna, just like what we saw with Sammy and KO last year, seeing how they had to rebuild the relationship. We're going to see how they're going to have to rebuild that relationship, because that's something that definitely needs to be established before we enter Survivor Series for War Games. And obviously, it's going to be another thing that needs to be established to see how Cody and Roman are going to be working on an even playing field, which is the story that they're going to be telling moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And like,
So simple to understand.
yeah, exactly. Like it literally writes itself, because so my couple additions to everything, it's like, okay, this just adds so much to Cody and Roman's rivalry. Because here's the thing, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there, um, we've gotten
Ugh.
two singles matches with Cody and Roman. One normal one Bloodline rules one. So
Mm-hmm.
great, awesome, fantastic. They're like one apiece with each other. So eventually we're going to be getting to that rubber match. And
Mm-hmm.
with WWE being so story centric, this just adds to it. Like, I actually had like a group chat of mine compare this to they kind of compared it to Naruto and Sasuke in a way, where
Oh
it's just
yeah.
like, because like when you think about it, it's like, okay, when you got to like the fourth Great Ninja War part, because like Sasuke hadn't returned to the village at that time. He was still a rogue ninja and like still
Mm.
doing some shit outside of everything. But like he came back and fought alongside Naruto against Madara and against Kaguya and all that. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. It's just like, the Bloodline 2.0 is a force that needs to be dealt with. Well, you have the family member who used to rule them, and you have the guy who basically like put that fracture in that family, coming together to take on this family. And the other addition too, I want to put on too with this, no matter, and I wish I said this earlier too, when Cody was just like, I don't want any part of the bloodline anymore. I'm done with them. The sad part is, Cody, with you holding that title, you are part of this story, because
Yep.
that title, that WWE title, is part of the bloodline story, because
Mm-hmm.
that is what makes that's what gives the tribal chief their power. Like, yeah, it could
Mm-hmm.
be, technically, yeah, it's the Ulafala that, shows you who the tribal chief is. It's like, okay, that's the representation of who it is. It's like, when a king wears a crown or anything. But like the WWE title is that thing that when you possess it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like what Roman was saying that ended up, summoning Cody out there. This is my ring. This is my WWE. Well, no, it's not, because you're not holding
Mm-hmm.
this title. So until
Exactly.
somebody holds it, you're not in control of anything. And like that's why
Mm-hmm.
Solo was so almost desperate in a way to get this title, to be
Mm-hmm.
like, this is like to kind of justify himself being this self-appointed tribal chief, because like
Mm.
the title is what the power is in the company.
Mm-hmm. It's like Cloud holding the Buster Sword. It's
Hmm.
like I'm trying to think of another example, but you get what I mean. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's that title that makes you who you are, because it holds a lot of weight within the company. And we
Hmm.
know the WWE title has been this key to the WWE title has been around for many, many years, and there's a lot of history behind it. So whoever
Yeah.
has that in their possession is the guy. That's why Cody came out there to begin with, to confront Roman, which he had every right to, because if Cody
Yeah.
didn't come out, I'd be a little confused saying, well, Cody, this guy's saying all this and you're not confronting him. So it made sense why he came out there to begin with. So you already
Yeah.
gave him you already gave him the animation to shoot at you to begin with.
Yeah, because like getting that title is basically your gateway to
Yeah.
becoming immortal.
Yeah.
Like in a weird, like almost, because well, here's the thing, everybody. I've
Oh.
been I've been consuming some Wukong, And not only just the game, but I've been listening to like the stories of Wukong. So like
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit about like immortality and all that.
Mm.
So like the WWE title is that gateway to that. That's like your stance, like that's your stepping stone
Yep.
into being the top person and to like
Yep.
cement your legacy and all that.
Yeah, because there's always something that like represents who you are. Like you look at, since today is Friday the 13th. Well, now it's not, but since today's Friday the 13th, you have Jason with his hockey mask
Mhm.
that represents who he is. Freddy Krueger with his bladed glove that represents who he is. You got Leatherface with his the whole mask that he made out of actual human skin.
Yeah.
That represents who he is. Like all of these different kinds of characters in media have something that represents who they are, and that's what the WWE title is. That's pretty much the key to the city, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Now with this I almost said tag title match. With this tag team
That'd
match
be
at Bad
interesting.
Blood, it would be like somebody said that too earlier. They were just like, "Oh, watch Cody and Roman become the tag team champions now." It's just like, on one hand, no, that because I don't know about that one, but on the other hand, that could be cool. That could be neat, but I
Mm,
would rather not that happen. Um, but I'm wondering, like, at least thinking of like the structure of this match,
mm.
um, I wonder how physical they're gonna have Roman and Jacob be in the match with each other.
Yeah, because you don't want to give away everything in that match, because
Yeah.
eventually down the line they're gonna have a singles match. So I would assume they would probably try to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll have like some key spots, but
Hmm.
they would probably try to save some things for them when they eventually get in the ring.
Hmm.
So, because I know we've seen this before in the past where it's like, okay, we see these two guys that people really want to see, and then they have like a couple moves here and there, but then they end up saving the rest of it later on. Like, for
Yeah.
all we know, this could eventually just lead into like another match where it's just Jacob and Roman. But even with that in mind, I don't know if I would really do it this year. Like, that's like like people are saying, Roman and Solo isn't a WrestleMania worthy match. I mean, I agree.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree
if
too.
you want to talk about like WrestleMania worthy matches, I mean, Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu is right there. So
Yeah.
it all depends how they would want to do that.
Hmm.
And at the same time, like if they were to do that match, I would personally have Jacob go over only to establish him as like
Same here.
that guy, because Roman's bulletproof, just like Cody is,
Yeah.
so it's not gonna really affect him.
Exactly.
But
Roman can eat a loss, especially if it's to Jacob. Like
yeah.
he can eat a loss like that easily and easily bounce back.
And I feel like this was probably the best decision that they could have done when it comes
Hmm.
to Bad Blood as well, because we were talking about earlier, like, okay, what is Cody's plans going to be at Bad Blood? A lot
Yeah.
of us were talking about, okay, is he going to go up against Randy? Is he going to go up against KO? Is KO going to turn heel and they're going to have a rematch at Bad Blood? And
Hmm.
the way I looked at it, if KO did turn heel, I wouldn't want him to go up against Cody just to lose again, because if KO turns heel, just speaking on hypotheticals at this point, you would want that to be booked strong, because that's a new character change for KO. And then with Randy, there's a lot of history there, so you want to take their time with that. So I
Yeah.
feel like this was probably the best decision that they could have possibly done when it comes to Cody and Roman. My
Hmm.
biggest question for this is, now that this match is confirmed and we have Cody and Roman against Solo and Jacob Fatu, I'm honestly like legitimately curious what the main event is going to be, because CM Punk and Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre has been
Should main
rumored.
event.
Yeah, it's been rumored for the longest time to be the main event, but I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to want to make this tag team match the main event. I mean, the
I hope
best
not.
thing that they could have possibly do is open up the show, and then they could
Hmm.
have CM Punk and McIntyre close out the show at the Hell in a Cell. That's what I would personally do, but that's another
Yeah.
thing that pops in my head now. Like, how are they going to orchestrate this?
Yeah, and I'm sure people will be complaining about that too because, like,
Oh yeah.
I even saw some complaints about tonight. People being like, "Oh, Cody's starting off a show and all that. Like, oh, how many times does Cody have to start a show and not main event? And it's just like, okay, well, first of all, actually, no. The only defense I have with it, also take this with a grain of salt from who it came from, but I'm pretty sure it came from Chris Jericho of all people in an interview, or I think it was on this podcast. I don't remember, but he had stated about how he liked to be the first match on because like that's almost as good and important as the main event because with when you start the match, first of all, you get your match done and over with. So then you can just chill and watch the product and all that and
Yeah.
watch your friends, watch your colleagues, your coworkers and all that. Like you're basically done for the night. So that's one thing about going on first. But also like there is a bit of pressure with going on first because you set the tone for the night. Like your first match needs to be the thing that like gets the crowd started and ready to go. And I mean, Cody's really good at that. The New Day were good at that as a good example, but like you want it to be something exciting and again to like grasp the viewer in to pay attention to your show that night.
Definitely.
Yeah, and especially tonight with like Cody starting the night, like we saw what it led to and all that. So you know what, that was fine. Because we got a very big hype moment and all that. Surprised that Roman and Cody weren't really looking over their shoulders a lot more often when they were staring down like Jacob and Solo like at the end of the night. Because yeah, of course the Toms were gonna come out of nowhere and try to attack. So but again, that might just be a nitpick too at best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have any other pressing things about this unless you do.
No, that's all I really have to say with it. I mean, the best thing we could really say is like we'll see how this bleeds into next week so we can start
Hmm.
building more onto that story because the only other thing I can really say is okay, how are we going to get Cody and Roman on the same page so they could coexist with each other?
Yeah.
That's the
How will
next
they
question.
coexist?
Like, how are they going to learn how to trust each other and work together
Hmm.
with one another? That's the next big story moving forward. That's the next development that we need to see because obviously there's history there. They don't like each other. So that's going to be an interesting segue into next week to see exactly how everything comes together.
Yeah,
Because the only
exactly.
reason why they're together to begin with is because they have a common goal. And
Hmm.
usually when you have things like that come up, usually um the hero and the villain sometimes have to team up.
Yeah, exactly. It happens. Sometimes Superman has to team up with Lex Luger. Oh, I say
Yep.
Lex Luger, Luther. We're talking wrestling, so of course, Lex Luger. Of
Yeah.
course. Oh man. Well, from one Lex Luger to maybe another Lex Luthor. I don't know. Who knows? Segues and all that stuff. We're
Mm.
going on to our mid card stories because we had a lot of cooking going on,
Wah,
and one
wah,
match in
wah.
particular was cooking. I guess maybe some hot pockets or maybe some
That's
bagel
probably the
bites.
best analogy, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe probably. We had Michin versus Piper Niven. Honestly,
I
not
do have
much to
something to
go
say
off
about
here.
this that I
Oh yeah, go ahead.
did. Um, well, I'll allow you to share your thoughts because I
Oh
did
yeah.
see something that was on Twitter as we were going through the show because I guess something was announced with Chelsea Green and Mia Yim next week.
Ooh.
But
I'm
I'll allow you to go
assuming a
first.
street fight. Okay. Um
Oh,
I mean, again, it's just like, that
or I'll put it in the chat for you to look at so you could
okay, no problem.
express
Um
your thoughts on it.
but it's like I mean, first of all, the match was very short,
Yeah,
like very short, and I mean
that's why we need
that
that
kind of
mid card segment for the ladies because
yeah,
Kalani Jordan has it going on in NXT. So whenever you have
hmm
moments like this would be the perfect way to be like, okay, we already have Nia dealing with Bailey and Naomi. Let's see like other people like Michin work with like Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, because at least when it comes to something like this is the one thing I will say about the match, just to give my quick thoughts on it.
Yeah.
It was a short match. It didn't really do anything for me because there really isn't much to take out of it.
Yeah.
Because I can't really say, oh, it's building to something. There's a bigger picture down the line because we've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna say the exact same thing when Giovanni Vinci comes back as well. Like we'll see how things work out with him, but as of now, I'm not really too keen with the presentation with him. But with this, just using it at that as an example, I want to know exactly like what's the story here, what is the outcome towards the end of this, because
Yeah.
the thing that bothers me is that it sometimes seems like there isn't any proper direction when it comes
Mhm.
to these girls or guys, because it works out for both of them. And we'll get into that in the next segment as well,
Yeah.
because it seems like if they aren't in like a title match or something going on, they're just going back to where they were before. So I really want to see exactly like how things are structured for them moving forward. Like, what's the end goal for Michin? What's the end goal for Chelsea Green and Piper Niven? I understand their
Yeah.
status on the show and what they're supposed to do, but what's the end goal here? And what was announced, that I will say right here, and I'm not really too familiar with this, I'll have to do some research on it,
Mhm.
but I guess there was a dumpster match between Chelsea Green and Mia
Uh
Yim was made by Vicky Guerrero. I
Wait,
don't
Vicky
know.
Guerrero made it? Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
I don't know what a dumpster match is. So if you
S-
know what that
it's
is,
basically like a casket match.
oh, okay, all right, never,
Yeah,
okay,
because the only one that comes to mind that from seeing is I think it was Kalisto versus Braun Strowman way back in the day. Um,
hmm
that's the
I gotta
only
look
one I
this
can
up
think of.
as we're
Yeah,
talking.
I think the other one I think might have been in AEW though, and I think it was like a tag team dumpster match or something.
Okay, I see it.
Because I
Yeah.
remember they put people in a dumpster and then they like knocked it off the stage and all that stuff. So yeah, it's basically a casket match. But that's actually gonna be kind of funny because I can picture
I can see it.
Chelsea Green being put in the dumpster and just like her bitching and moaning about being put in a dumpster match for one, and for two having to be put in a dumpster, and like she can just like as a comedic wrestler and all that, she can make that bit kind of go a while. Um
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
mhm.
like this is like another thing that I'm saying. It's like this would be like a perfect like match to like. I mean, if I were to choose anybody to have like the mid card title as of right now, I'd probably say Michin, because she puts in a
Yeah.
lot of work, and she could definitely do something with that title to make it stand out, because you see her participating in a lot of these street fights, and now she's going to be in a dumpster match with Chelsea Green next week, which I just did
Yeah.
some research on, and we haven't seen it in quite some time. But this would
Mhm.
be a perfect match if you wanted to put the title on the line for like a dump in the dumpster match, because
Yeah.
you at least have the mid card title being showcased in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least there's something here. There's like a stipulation, so at least you get the fun out of
Mhm.
it. Just because this gimmick, this match hasn't been done for in quite some time, so it's actually
Yeah.
pretty interesting getting done now.
Yeah. And I think that's just one thing that's one thing that kind of keeps me somewhat invested in it. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really fully invested with this match, except for I'm glad Michin's getting time on TV. I'm glad she's at least going places. I mean, she's on NXT Raw, like doing a lot of shit. So like she's at least exposing herself to everybody, and that was probably the wrong way of saying that too, but it's like,
Hmm.
she's at least showing everybody what she's about, and it's more than just like, "Oh, let's throw a hardcore gimmick on her." Like, she's actually kinda good at it too, like, it's not just like "Oh, I'm just gonna get a weapon and beat your ass," but which I wanna point out too, there was a weird moment in this match where it's like, she did something to Piper, and then she put her back in the ring, and then Michin was looking for a weapon to hit Chelsea with, but like she it looked like she couldn't find what she was looking for, even though she was looking for a kendo stick and whatever. Um, I don't know. It was a weird spot, so I don't know if the only other thing I can think of too is maybe like because commentary mentioned how Piper's nose apparently got busted up, so maybe Mitchum was trying to
Oh,
find some time for that to get taken care of.
mm.
Um, I don't
Oh, I
know.
didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was one of those times where it's just like
Was it the spot in the ring to finish the match, or was it something when she got thrown outside?
I think it was when she got thrown outside because
Oh,
like
okay.
Piper got put back in,
Some rough
and then
spots.
Michin like looked under the ring and was trying to look for something, and then she like kind of meanders for like a couple seconds, and then she breaks up the count from the outside, and like Piper's still like laying in the ring, so I'm not sure what that was about, you know. Uh, but yeah,
Mm.
again, like I'm just happy they're at least doing something, and it's leading to something. Whether I'm super invested in it or not, I mean that's subjective with everybody. So I mean, I'm gonna watch it regardless. I'll have thoughts about it anyways. So
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we do cover the show, so we're gonna watch it anyway. So.
exactly. So, you know what? I'm just going to move on to something that has a little bit more leg room
Mm.
when it comes to stories and all that. We have A Town Down Under taking on Kevin
Ooh,
Owens and a mystery partner. Don't
yeah,
worry, it's not Randy Orton, everybody. It's a guy named Ricky.
yeah.
And
Ricky
first of all,
Starks.
man, I swear, I
Um,
swear, I swear, if that's WWE's way to being like, hey, Ricky Starks,
Ricky. Did you see that Ricky acknowledged it on Twitter? He
oh, he
put that
did.
meme. He put that meme of like the dog with like the long hair. I don't know if you ever seen that meme.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
it could be them potentially teasing. You never know,
Hmm.
because they
Yeah,
they
I
are
mean, I'm fine
interested
with
in
that.
him, and I'm pretty confident he's going over there anyway. So
Yeah, and especially after the comments he made. What was it like last week or something? Saying, "Hey, I'm still around. I'm not hurt or anything. There's just nothing for me." Like,
mhm.
okay, cool. Uh, but no, like okay, this is a fun way of using a jobber because it's like, okay, it makes sense that Kevin
Mhm.
Owens couldn't
Needs
find
merch.
anybody. Do what?
He needs merch.
Oh my god, yes, please. Honestly, make Ricky the next Ellsworth. Maybe not as cringe as like Ellsworth's second run, but
Mm.
like maybe make him another Ellsworth. That could be fun. But this was just a fun way of using a jobber because it's like it makes sense because Kevin Owens he doesn't have many friends in the back.
Mm.
Like he has Cody, but I mean Cody just got through a steel cage match. Sammy is on another show, and I mean we hadn't heard from Randy since facing Gunther, so yeah, even though that was the
Oh.
obvious choice, it's like he's not there. So like bringing out a jobber and being like, "Hey, the person I wanted couldn't make it in time, so I got Ricky here." Uh, then as soon as Kevin finds out, wait, he's here. Oh, all right. Thank you, Ricky. Stunner, get out of here. Here comes Randy Orton. I don't know. It got a good laugh out of me.
Oh yeah, it was really funny. Like
Yeah.
it definitely caught me off guard because I actually thought it was just gonna be Randy off the spot. They weren't gonna do any jokes or anything.
Hmm.
But when this guy came out, like it caught me off guard. Like I don't remember if I was necessarily laughing. I was just
Yeah.
going more confused. I was like, "What? Who the hell is this guy?"
Like, who is this George the Animal Steel grandkid?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, this dude was hairy. Like, guys,
Oh
I don't,
god.
guys and girls, I don't think y'all understand just how hairy this man is. Like, he had some back here. Like, if y'all remember A Train from back in the day, if you remember like George the Animal Steel, like those
Yeah, I
guys,
remember him.
think of them, but think of them like at like 5'9", 5'8". and skinnier, and that was Ricky. Oh man. But I mean, the match itself was fine. A lot of just like quick double team moves from Theory and Waller. Waller obviously mocking Randy Orton at a bunch of times, and of course he ate all those later. Um I think my spot of the night, but actually, yeah, it might be my spot of the night because this is another one that kind of got a chuckle out of me. Because the whole match, Kevin's trying to, get that hot tag on Randy, and Theory and Waller keep, stopping him from doing it. And it got to a point where like Kevin Owens knocked one of them down, and he starts to go across the ring, and he's just like, "Nah, you know what? Forget this." He rolls out of the ring, runs around to his corner, and then
That's something I
goes
do in
in the
2K.
ring. Yeah, exactly. Because like it's one of those things where it's just like, oh wait, that makes total sense. If they're gonna stop me in the ring, well, forget that. I'm just gonna roll out, run over to my corner, jump back in, and hey, there's my hot tag. It
Exactly.
was oh, it was so good. Oh man.
Exactly. The
But
one thing I will
yeah.
say about this
Mhm.
is it was a fun match, but and there's always buts
Yeah.
everywhere you
Always love
go.
the butts. I do like
But
butts, so yeah.
but I want to know what is the direction for Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, because
Hmm.
the only thing I'm not really fond of when it comes to Kevin Owens inserting himself into the Austin Theory and Grayson Waller program again is that it
Hmm.
seems like they don't really have anything special planned for KO in the moment, because as soon as he was done with that match with Cody, it went right back to the whole Grayson Waller and Austin Theory situation again. So I want to know exactly like what is KO doing? Like
Yeah.
what is KO gonna be doing moving forward? Because we don't have to see him and Randy fighting Austin Theory and Grayson Waller every single week in these different kinds of matches, because we've seen it many times over and over and over again. And I just want to see, KO have a key moment within the show and Randy having a key moment through the show, because those are two top guys when it comes to your
Hmm.
division, where you could do a lot of different things with them. So I want to know exactly, what's going on with this, because
Yeah.
this is like the same issue I have, and I don't really want to compare them, because I do find A Town Down Under a lot more entertaining than them. But this is like a similar gripe I have with I don't even want to I forgot their name, but
Oh, Bathroom Break Collective?
yeah, it's the same issue I have with them, where it's like we see them call up people, talk shit, they
Yeah.
lose the match, and then they continue to feud with that person over and over again, and it's always the same result. So I want to
Mhm.
know exactly what's going on here, because again, we talked about this last week. They keep teasing this thing. They didn't do it tonight, but they
Yeah.
keep teasing tension between Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and they acknowledge it, but then they end up just, it's like they lean forward and they go back. They lean forward and then they go back. It's like, work on
Yeah.
a story there. You don't need KO and Randy involved with that. Just work on a story there, because you've been teasing it so much. It's honestly, at this point, I'm honestly don't really care for it anymore. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
being honest.
exactly.
It's hard for me to like really invest any time into it. If you're just gonna, it's almost like you ever treat you're gonna give your dog, and you're like, oh, sit, and then the
Mhm.
dog sits. You're like, oh, paw, but then you have the treat and you're just teasing, and the dog tries to go for the treat, but you keep ripping it away over and over again. It's like the dog's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're gonna give me the treat for like, being a good boy by sitting down and doing what you're saying. It's like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
And yeah. And it's not only just that, but like part of it too is it kind of makes, and I remember saying this last week too. What's up, bait? What is that? Alden Danielson. Hopefully you're having a good night, Alden. And
What's up,
also,
man?
chat before I get into this. Hopefully you guys are having a good night too. We're getting deep into some of this conversation, but
Yeah.
uh, all this stuff with like the back and forth between, oh, will they, won't they break up kind of thing. Theory kind of looks like the biggest dork, the biggest idiot out of all of this so far. Because like he's the one that I think is suffering the most from the stop start uh of their breakup,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, because we know he knows that he's treated like shit by Waller, but like I guess Waller hasn't really done too much lately to
Mm-hmm.
really make Austin Theory want to
Yeah.
turn. I mean, maybe we'll get some of that next week
Yeah.
since they lost another match this week, especially to Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and I mean that could lead to it. I don't know. I really don't know. Like I want
Like,
better direction, at least for those two, and
yeah, because
with your
if they're
sentiments
not,
with like yeah.
oh no, you continue me doing, and I'll add on to it
No,
after.
you're good. Okay. So it's just like kind of like with their sentiments with like KO and Randy. It's just like, where are they going to be going from this? Like
Yep.
the only other option I can think of is like maybe tag title gold, but
Mm.
even then it's like, yeah, you have like
Yeah.
the Tamas and all that, but
Yeah. You're
I
going
mean,
back to
you're
Bloodline again.
basically using yeah, you're going back to the bloodline again with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and you're also kind of just using the tag titles as a prop for the eventual Randy turn because like I feel like before Randy gets to Cody, he's gonna turn on Kevin.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Do that. Just
Yeah.
do that because you obviously need some sort of direction with Randy Orton KO, like you said, just like we need some sort of direction of Grayson Waller and Austin
Hmm.
Theory because we know that the Cody and Randy match is eventually going to happen, but we have to figure out the steps to get to Randy and Cody. And by Randy turning on KO, you could create a new program there because um it could be something that could be worked out as like another story for us to get invested to, like learning, okay,
Hmm.
why did Randy turn on KO? What is his reasoning behind that? How does KO feel about Randy doing that? What's going to come
Yeah.
out of this? That'll be something interesting to get into because it's new, it's fresh, it's not bloodline related, and it's not
Hmm.
Grayson Waller and Austin Theory related. It's something completely separate, and it works on both of their characters. So something like that, I would be completely okay with because if you take some time to think about it, they're not far
Hmm.
off from one another because they both have a lot of history of turning on people. I I just took some time to like take that in when I was
Hmm.
thinking about the both of them because we've seen Randy turn on a lot of people in the past. We've seen
Yeah.
KO do the exact same thing again. So Randy catching KO off guard and just giving him an RKO out of nowhere, that would be a interesting segue into like a new storyline for Randy to go down. So then you could
Hmm.
build up Randy from that, and then you can move him on to Cody after that match that Cody has with Roman Reigns at Bad Blood against Jacob Fatu and
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa, and adding on to that as well, you could even lean into Randy um, turning on Cody even more now because now Cody's working with Roman, which is somebody that he's had a problem with for quite some time. So now
Yeah.
there's even more logic behind the heel turn. It's not like Randy's doing it just for the sake of doing it. Now you have a legitimate reason where it's like, okay, we worked so hard to stop this guy, but now you're working with him. So it makes a lot of
Hmm.
sense. So if you want to do something completely new and fresh, I would definitely go down that direction. I
Oh yeah,
like that,
same here.
honestly.
Like yeah, because again, you could use that to feed into the Cody rivalry when we get to Randy and Cody. Like when we get to
Mm-mm.
that bit, because it's like again, we got the seeds planted with Cody giving KO that title shot. Whereas with Randy, he kind of somewhat had to earn it. And I use that with like the biggest quotations or whatever, because we all
Mm.
know what happened at King of the Ring. We know how that finish happened. So at least they were able to acknowledge it, move forward with it, and use it in like the storyline sense.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like it could feed into eventual Randy Cody match and program, because it's like, okay, you gave him an option. Why didn't you give me an option, especially when I came back, especially when you first won the title? Because that would have
Exactly.
been nice to have.
Mhm.
But not only just that, it's just like, the way Cody kind of treated Kevin too. Like, I mean, just like, best of friends and all that shit, but like, I mean, there could be something there with Randy being like, hey, no, you didn't really show me that much respect and all that stuff. But we'll have to get to that road eventually, hopefully
Oh, yeah,
soon.
we'll
Because
cross it
again, like
eventually.
some of these guys, like, they need a better direction, I think.
Oh yeah,
And hopefully we
definitely,
can
hands
move
down.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, because we definitely need some new stories heading into this new era.
Because hey, we don't want to. We're in a new era. We don't want the same old shit. So yeah. Uh, I don't. Do you have anything else to kind of state about this segment? Because like again, I think me and you are both kind of ready to like move on from like
Oh
KO and
yeah,
Randy having to deal with A Town Down
yeah.
Under.
Like I'm like
And
I'm very happy with the conversation we've had because I was
yeah,
really trying to figure out exactly what we could talk about with this segment when it comes to the sort of direction that it could go down. So, at
yeah,
least with the conversation that we came up with, that's an idea thrown out there they could potentially explore. So, let's see where that bleeds into. So, I'm pretty much
yeah.
ready to move on to our next one.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're in the chat and you have any ideas about it, why not let us know in the chat, or if you're watching, the VOD of this, let us know in the comments. Maybe we'll touch on some of those theories eventually. Maybe during the
Mhm.
next show. Who knows? We'll find out when we get older. But as we get older,
Mm.
we have to deal with titles. We have to deal with new contenders, and
Uh-oh.
good old Nia Jax has a bad blood challenger on the horizon. But who is it
Mm.
exactly? We really don't know. We got to figure that out.
See,
And
see,
we're going to
that was
find
the
that out
confusing
in a
thing.
very interesting tag match. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a confusing thing because I said it to you earlier that I was really confused like how
Mhm.
she was laying out the match because it I didn't really like click with me when it came to like how the match, like how the result of the match was going to take place next week, because when she was first talking about it, I was like, okay, she was like, okay, whoever wins that match, and I could have missed something that she said and that could have been completely on me, but at least when I
Mhm.
initially heard it, when she says, okay, whoever wins the match against me and Tiffany next week gets me at Bad Blood. And then I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, okay, so how does that work if it's like a tag team match? Does that mean that Bailey and Naomi both go against you at Bad Blood? Like I didn't really understand what that meant.
Mhm.
But then it says, but then Corey, which shout out to Corey who puts out a lot of good work out there. He put it out when he said Nia
Mhm.
Jax, Tiffany Stratton versus Bailey and the Naomi next week on SmackDown. If Nia and Tiffany win, the loser of the match leaves SmackDown forever. If Bailey and Naomi win, the person who gets who gets the pin challenges Nia for the women's championship. So when it was addressed like that, I understood it. So I was like, okay, so if
Mhm.
Bailey pins Tiffany or if Naomi pins Tiffany, because I don't really think anybody's going to be pinning um
No.
Nia. I mean, they could because I don't know if they want Tiffany to get pinned again. But then whoever
Yeah.
pins ends up getting Nia for the championship at Bad Blood. And I was really trying to figure out exactly how that was going to work because
Mhm.
I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, whoever doesn't get the pin gets booted off of SmackDown. Then I'm thinking in my head, I was like, okay, then where would you put them on Raw? Because it doesn't really make any
Yeah.
sense to put Bailey on Raw, then have her have some sort of thing with damage control again, because that's the whole reason why the draft happened, was
Mhm.
to keep them separate and to move on from that. And with Naomi, I don't really see how she could take part in anything that's currently going on Raw.
Yeah.
And Bianca and Jade are on SmackDown, and that's her thing with them too when it comes to like the three of them. So what I honestly see happening with this that could potentially happen next week that I was thinking about is I could potentially, I know I said that I can't see Nia Jax getting pinned next week, but one of the things I was thinking about is I could potentially see both Naomi and Bailey pinning Nia Jax with the both of them on
Ooh.
top of Nia. So then that bleeds into the match at Bad Blood where it ends up turning into a triple threat because I can't really see any clear direction of what they could possibly do if they got booted off of SmackDown.
Yeah.
If there's something that I'm unaware of, and if there's any of you guys in the comments that if you want to chime in and think about any possible direction that Bailey or Naomi could possibly do on Raw, let me know down below, because if they do go down that direction, I'm honestly very curious to see what that could lead into. Because if I were to look at the current I guess the opponent that makes the most sense with Nia in this scenario would be Bailey, because technically she is owed a rematch, because usually when the champion loses their title, they automatically get a rematch anyway. So realistically, I could see it heading down that direction, but since a stipulation was involved in this match, now I can see both of them pinning Nia so they can get that match at Bad Blood. Other than that, I really don't know what they're gonna do.
I don't know either, because they can go a lot of different ways with this, but I'm just glad we're getting something interesting with all this. And not saying that I was getting bored or I wasn't interested at all with it. It's just we're doing something different that's actually really good, because it's we still have the seeds being planted of Tiffany Stratton turning on Nia to cash in and all that. I
like that.
We're getting those seeds planted. We're getting seeds planted for Naomi and Bailey possibly having a falling out, or if it's just going to be one of those friendly rivalries like we saw with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes and all that. I don't know. This has me intrigued with what they're going to do, because even if they lose too, it's just okay, well, first of all, who eats the pin? And who's going to Raw? Because I'm kind of in the same boat as you. It's okay, Bailey could go to Raw, but Damage Control being there, even though they're faces, I'm sure they're not going to be all buddy with each other over
especially
there.
with what happened after that turn that happened earlier this year. Really wouldn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And with Naomi going there, I mean, what would you involve her in? You can't really involve her in the Liv and Rhea storyline, and I wouldn't want to put her against I keep forgetting the name. I wouldn't want to put her in a situation where it's she's with Lyra and Zelina Vega against them. So it's the three of them against them.
The pure fusion
that's why I feel like the best option you could possibly pull out of this is you could see the both of them pinning Nia together. Even though for the most part you shouldn't really pin the champion. The only way the champion should be pinned is if they're losing the title. But I would I would look at it like this, where Nia would have to have two people needed to pin her. Let's say Tiffany gets knocked out or whatever, or let's say her and Nia get into a little thing within the match, because I'm gonna chime in on that as well. That's the only way I could really see both of them staying at SmackDown, and then you get that triple threat. It's at Bad Blood, and the whole thing that's going on with Tiffany and Nia Jax, I do like that, because I like how what we see on Raw, we're seeing. What was it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I saw something.
No,
came
you're
up
good.
My phone. But it's I like how we're getting just like how we're getting a meaningful story on Raw when it comes to Liv and Rhea. I like how that's bleeding onto SmackDown as well, where we're getting a proper story between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Even if it's little crumbs, I like how there's a little something there, where it's not something where it's okay, I have a title, we have to have an opponent for this person, and then whatever happens after that match, we move on to the next opponent. There's at least a story being told there, where you can look at it where it's okay, and now there's going to be trust issues between Nia and Tiffany. We got to see how they overcome these obstacles. Are they going to be able to work alongside each other and actually trust one another? Or is there going to be a falling out? because I
Yeah.
feel like since Tiffany is so over right now, even though she works better as a heel, because she just has that look of playing a
Mhm.
nasty heel, nasty in a sense where it's like, in like wrestling terms, excellent work for a heel.
Yeah.
I feel like since she's just so over right now, they might try to try her out as a face and see what sort of direction that goes down, because she had a
Mhm.
huge pop when she came out.
Oh my god, that pop was immaculate. Like that, her pops keep getting bigger and bigger each
Yeah.
and every week, you know.
And I can
But
see, like, if she
mhm,
turns on Nia, it wouldn't be something where it's like, oh, Tiffany's turning heel on Nia, just like how
yeah,
Dominic turned heel again on Rhea Ripley. Like, I can't really see that being a heel thing, because again, that's like a kid in school standing up to
yeah,
somebody that keeps pushing them around and using them as a tool in order to progress with whatever they need help progressing with in that very moment in their life. So I could easily see this just adding more tension to the eventual breakup between
mhm,
Tiffany and Nia. But at the same time, there was something else that was planted too when it comes to Nia and Tiffany confronting Jade and Bianca, which I
oh
know we
yes,
brought this up
this was
a
like
little.
months ago.
Yeah, we brought
Like,
this up months ago because we
like,
were trying to figure out in the back of our heads, okay, who is Bianca and Jade going to drop those titles to? Because we know that they're
mhm,
going to have a long reign with those titles. We know that they're going to be unbeatable. So who is going to cause them to eventually drop those titles? And we brought up Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton to be a catalyst to that, which could
yeah,
also potentially even lead into a breakup between the both of them, depending on what plays out with that. But
mhm,
those two right there could be possible contenders to a possible tag team, which to drop those titles to, which also bleeds into like another story that not only affects Tiffany and Nia, but also affects Bianca and Jade, depending on what's being played out. So there's like a
yeah,
lot of different things being played out right now between the tag team involvement now, and then also the constant tease between Nia and Tiffany splitting up. So it's honestly hard for me to really say what's going to happen now, because if
yeah,
that wasn't included tonight, I'll be like, okay, we're just fully focusing on Nia and Tiffany. But now that they're confronting Jade and Bianca, now I'm really curious to see what's happening, because now I don't really know.
yeah, yeah. Because like, and I mean, even though Bianca and Jade technically did lose the titles for a bit, again, the whole story with that was they never actually lost it. Like they were never part of the finish of that. Like another team was pinned in that match. So like that's why Nia and Tiffany being the ones to actually beat them for the titles would that would be a good moment for them. And like again, it'll feed into the Jade Bianca program we'll eventually get. But like again, like this is just this segment was a good way to kind of reward people for being long term with WWE, because like Nia even mentioned it during that little interaction. It's just like, look, I beat both of you during the Queen of the Ring tournament, like I already know I can beat y'all. So if we're gonna be doing a tag team match, y'all's days are numbered, So I
Mm,
like how, because like again, like our WWE superstars actually have a memory. They actually remember shit. They know what happened in the past to be like, hey, you know what? I remember that. Either fuck you or no, you're fine, you're cool. We're cool now. Like I don't know. Again, I like how they make little callbacks like that, and like actually like, and this is mainly just a WWE thing, just like acknowledging that the past happened.
mhm. I
Yeah.
like how there's more logic gaps
Mhm.
with a lot of things now, because before, like I addressed earlier, it was it was ignored and you just glanced over it. But now
Yeah.
you're actually taking some time to be like, okay, there actually is certain things we got to call out when it comes to these certain relationships between the people that we have on TV. So we got to make sure that's well established.
Yeah. Oh boy. But we'll find out who Nia Jax has to face at Bad Blood. I'm glad this is going to be on a pay per view too, so
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. That's great and all that. But yeah, so from one championship match being set up to another one also being set up, we have our final segment of the night from SmackDown. We have Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade number 5. This is their 5th confrontation, and I mean, these guys have awesome chemistry with each other. I mean, I keep trying to think of which match I prefer out of these. It might still be the first one. Maybe like the third one comes to mind for some reason. But I mean, yeah, these guys just have excellent chemistry with each other.
Oh yeah. I've always enjoyed seeing them in the ring ever since I first came across the both of them. Like when it came with Carmelo, when I was starting to watch NXT again last year, I really loved his presentation. So I'm glad that he's actually getting something done on SmackDown. So he's not like having random matches. Like he's actually not only building up himself, but you also have Andrade, which is another guy that I've been a fan of for quite some time now. They're both working together to build themselves up to, feel legitimate on SmackDown. And I like how we're getting these series of matches because it gives us something to sink our teeth into. It gives us great wrestling. There's like an actual story here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I,
well,
I,
also
I
too, like it helps boost that U.S. title division because,
oh
like,
yeah.
I feel like with the U.S. title, especially in the past like few years, it's had a lot of ups and downs. Like, you'll have a champion that like kind of boosts the title a little bit. Sometimes they do like the whole open challenge thing, like Cena did. Sometimes they just don't, but they still have a really good reign. But like the U.S. title's always just been had like an up and down trajectory since I want to not since its inception, but probably since like the 2010s almost, I want to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yes, continue on.
But it's like I'm just happy that I mean I'll be honest, ex I guess I could say I was expecting Mello to win, but at the
Mhm.
same time I'm actually glad that he didn't. Only because I feel like he's going to be the one that LA Knight drops it to in the end.
Mhm.
So at least with Andrade going over Mello tonight, that just gives Andrade more time to shine, and that gives him an opportunity against the U.S. title
Mhm.
against LA Knight. So at least that's them taking their second chance of Andrade and making him feel special. So he's not just another guy in the roster. Like he's actually having a main focus on the show. He's actually participating in matches every single week or segments every single week. So that's something I
Yeah.
really appreciate because a lot of us are wondering, like, okay, this is Andrade's second chance in the company. He's coming back. Are they going to do something with him or are they going to miss the ball again? And they definitely have
Mhm.
been doing something with him to make him feel special. And that's something that I could really appreciate because if this was many, many years ago, you wouldn't be seeing stuff like this on a regular basis when it comes to two guys going at it. And
Mhm.
then you eventually get like a good outcome where it helps build both of them at the same time. And
Yeah.
I like that. I like how they went with Andrade here.
Mhm.
Very good
Yeah, and
decision.
I mean, I agree too. And it's just like there's a good story here too because it's like okay, we finally got number 5 of their series. Andrade goes over and all that. Now he's facing LA Knight. So now like we have two separate parts of like leading towards like Carmelo Hayes taking the title from LA Knight. So you have obviously this first one where it's like okay, Carmelo Hayes is now what is it like 2 and 3 to Andrade. So he's on the losing end right now. So now Andrade is going to be the challenger for LA Knight. And this is going to be a good test for LA Knight, I think, because
Oh yeah.
I think their styles are going to clash really well, and it's gonna be one of those things where like LA Knight's gonna have to pull out a lot of stops to beat Andrade. Like that, whatever show that this match is gonna be on, more than likely it's gonna be on SmackDown. Which okay, fine, whatever.
I think they did. I think it said next week we're getting it.
Ooh, we're getting it next week. Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
So like this is gonna be a big test for LA Knight and his title reign. It's gonna be one of those matches. But like when we get through with that match, and then Carmelo ends up, eventually getting his opportunity at it, and then he wins it, it's like, okay, we can keep going with his Andrade storyline now because it's like, oh, Carmelo, in a way, got one over Andrade because Andrade couldn't beat LA Knight, but Carmelo did, and then, hey, well, if that's the case, hey, kid, I am technically 3 wins over your 2. Since I was the last one to pin you, let's do this. Like, let's do this for the title. And then, we get Andrade versus Carmelo 6, which Carmelo could win that one since now he's the champion. He can, he's leveled up a bit now. And that would, again, it would also tie the series again, which means we would have to have one more final 7th match in this series, which I think is what they're leaning towards. I think we're going to be getting like a 7-match series with this, and I think that 7th match is going to have a stipulation, something like, well, they've already had a 2 out of 3 falls match, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
believe so.
I mean, one match type that kind of comes to mind is an Iron Man match, like I think these two could pull off a really good Iron Man match, and especially if they do an hour-long Iron Man match again. Oh man, but I'm excited because like LA Knight and Andrade they're gonna slap hard and almost as hard as this match did because like there were some good spots like the one I gotta highlight where Andrade and Carmelo were fighting on top of the barricade, and we got that reverse Spanish fly to the floor, like the mats on the floor and all that. Like, oh, it was so sick. It was so good.
Yeah, that was probably the highlight out of that match was that reverse Spanish fly on the floor because that's something I wasn't expecting. So that was a really nice spot.
Yeah.
Which gets me even more intrigued to see what sort of tricks LA Knight's gonna pull out of his hat when it comes to what he's going to do against his against Andrade next week, because that is, like you said, going to be a definitely a match to see when it comes to what LA Knight could bring to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, because like a lot of us, when you're in the wrestling sphere, you kind of know what Andrade can do. Especially if you kind of watched, well, whenever he was on AEW TV, like you can kind of see just exactly what he was into. And this kind of goes into my comment earlier about like how stiff people were working tonight too. Like I could kind of tell in this match too. Like Andrade and Carmelo were kind of laying into each other just a little bit, which I mean, I don't think it was in a way of like, oh, forget you and I'm gonna hit you harder. Just more of a, let's give the people what they want because hey, this is a premiere episode. Let's pull out all the stops and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Plus, I like too how LA Knight at least confronted Andrade at the end of the match. It was just like, hey, all right, you're next. Then let's do this thing. Let's find out if you have what it takes to get your quote unquote your title back. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of good spots in this match too. I mean, there's again, this is what happens when two guys wrestle each other so much that they just know what the other's doing because this one reversal where like Andrade reverses Carmelo's reversal of a move into a Canadian destroyer or whatever. Like that was really good.
Oh yeah,
And
that was
then
really good. I like that.
and then just like Carmelo seeing through like the double moonsault spot that Andrade likes to do, like that was good. And of course, like that Andrade's finisher from the second or top rope. Like, again, like I like a finisher that just comes out of nowhere like that you can just do wherever and whenever you want, you know.
Hmm.
Man, but yeah, I mean that was that match. Again, another banger match. Technically, the main event match of the night for
Yep.
SmackDown. So, good on especially Carmelo Hayes. Like, good on you for having another main event on the show, or maybe your first main event. I don't remember if he has yet or not.
Oh, he did have it with Cody.
Okay, okay, all right, yeah, that's right. That's right. When Cody defended the title. Okay. Um, All right, yeah. Well, you know what? That was basically SmackDown. I mean, overall, I thought SmackDown was a really really good show this week. I mean, again, having a season premiere, being on a new network, like you could just feel the energy was a little better tonight. Not only just with the new looks and all that, with all the stuff that happened with like Cody and the Bloodline, with Carmelo and Andrade going on, uh, getting a little bit of set up for like the women's division and all that with between Michin and Chelsea Green, and then the whole women's title picture. Uh, you know, we said our piece, I think, about the whole Randy Orton, Kevin Owens kind of thing. So hopefully
Mhm.
directions are moved in different ways for all four men involved. But Drop, what did you think of the event overall?
I thought it was a pretty good show tonight. It definitely set the stage moving forward
Hmm.
for SmackDown, especially when it comes to its new home, because now it bleeds into a lot of different things that are going to be playing out over the next couple months when it comes to Cody and Roman working
Hmm.
together against the Bloodline, and then also seeing um what could potentially happen with Randy and KO moving forward, like me and Watkins discussed. It just pretty much sets the stage for it's like, okay, we have a new home now. Things
Hmm.
are gonna be different. And it's just a good setting for WWE because like I discussed earlier, SmackDown's at a new home next month. Um was it on October 1st?
Hmm.
NXT is going to be on the CW, and then January 6th
Oh
next
yeah.
year, Raw is going to be on Netflix. So it's just setting the stage for the future because I'll probably say this from a year from now, and I'll try to remember it the best I possibly can. But
Hmm.
from a year from now, things are probably going to be looking a lot different from what we saw on television tonight when it comes to the presentation. Like we already have it with the logo and the music and everything, but I can only imagine, what else is going to be coming out there when it
Yeah.
comes to this new regime because Triple H keeps repeating, we're just getting started, so
Hmm.
this isn't even the beginning of it. Like he still has more things that he's going to keep throwing in there, and I
Yeah.
just like how we're properly taking our time with it because
Hmm.
it's just showing that slow progression with the product that's just turning into something that was definitely needed for it, and I can
Yeah.
appreciate that because I want to take some time to actually allow all of this to sink in. But it was a good
Hmm.
SmackDown.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the point of like slowing down too, because like I saw an interview. I forgot what it was. I'm sorry everybody, because it was one of those things that you kind of see on Twitter and you just kind of like
Yeah.
click on it real quick or whatever. But like it was this one guy. I'll look up the name later, but like he answered a question about like Triple H went up to him one time before a match, um, and I guess it was like a match against Stardust or whatever. So if you
Yeah.
guys have seen this video, let me know who it was. I feel bad not remembering who it was, but anyways, like Triple H had told him to slow down a bit, like that's part of the key. Is just like, slow down, let the moment kind of settle, simmer, cook, whatever terminology you want to use. And like the guy used an example too of like when he was doing like, I guess, a hardcore match or whatever, and he had put the guy on a table and he got onto the turnbuckle and then did his move on him. And he kind of kicks himself at that moment because he's just like, in the moment, I just went up there and just did the move like really quickly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I forgot to mention something earlier.
Oh,
Since
yeah.
we are sharing our overall thoughts of SmackDown, there was one last thing I did want to include when it comes to the Cody and Roman segment that we saw. The Rock. How is The Rock going to feel that Roman teaming up with Cody now? That was something that didn't stumble upon me. We were talking about the segment until I started thinking about it now. Because Rock doesn't like Cody at all. And the whole reason why the Bloodline went into war to begin with was because of that blood feud between Cody, The Rock, Roman, Seth, etc., so on. So how is Rock going to feel all of this? And this even adds even more seeds for Rock and Roman's eventual match in the future too.
I wonder, like,
and Seth, but Rock.
Yeah, we didn't even touch about The Rock. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, the storyline implications. Again, all the layers, like 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 onion, like ogres, many layers going on. But yeah, so like back with the interview part and all, it's like, kind of slow down a little bit, like not only take the time to like do the moves, but kind of like let the moment sink in. Cause like the guy had said, okay, I put the guy on the table, I jumped on the turnbuckle, did my move, whatever. But like he says, I wish I slowed down, took like maybe just a couple extra seconds to like have the audience stand up and like be more interactive with everything. And like that's been Triple H's style to a T ever since his NXT days. It's just like, okay, let me just cook a little bit. I believe he's a slow cooker. Like, I mean, Stephanie McMahon and their daughters probably wait hours for dinner and they still don't get it in time until like the next morning or whatever, because Triple H is just sitting there in the kitchen like, don't worry, the waffles are almost done. So yeah, but just take your time. And you know what? You can throw that into your life as well. Take your time going through life. You'll stop and smell the roses and touch some grass and do all that fun stuff to make yourself human and all that. But hey, that was SmackDown. I almost said Raw. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? Quick little plugs here. Before we head out, all of our social media links are down in the description below. So hey, if you guys want to check some of our content out, that's outside of AniMa Studios, outside of Weebs of the Ring. Like me, for example, I had a video just come out this past week talking about a new series called Itchy the Witch. Next week, I'm gonna try to get an arc review out of a series. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy that. But those links are down below. Drop, what do you have coming up?
So I know what I have planned for next week when it comes to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday, I'm going to be making a video talking about Ash's journey through the cancer region. So I'm pretty much going to be talking about a couple things that occurred within the Kanto region that was important to me to touch on when it came to his overall journey. The next set video on Tuesday is going to be about Red 13's whole backstory within Final Fantasy, going in depth with that, just like how I did with Barrett. And then the third video is going to be just like how it is every Wednesday, a perfect enemy video where I'm going to be talking about Dr. Neo Vortex and Crash Bandicoot.
Ooh, that should be a fun one. Okay. Well, hey, if you guys want to check all that out, make sure, again, drops links to his, YouTube and all that are down in the description. All the links to my stuff is down in the description. All the links for AniMa Studio and the rest of the team, like Vash, like Rome, Jokester, JB Abe, like all those links down in the description. Make sure you check those out. Make sure you follow us, talk to us about anything regarding anything. Because hey, we're a bunch of us are socially active. We like to
And
talk. We like to, yep.
And Watkins and I are about to hit milestones too, because Watkins is about to hit
Mm-hmm.
100 subs soon, and I'm about to hit
Yep.
500.
Yeah. So, oh man, I can't. It's exciting because like with the whole like relaunch of the channel, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's a whole separate
Oh
tangent for
yeah,
another day.
just a
So
little highlight
it
there.
yeah, it's exciting. So if you guys want to be
Mm.
a part of all that, again, be sure to check everything out. And of course, with AniMa Studio, we're cooking in the background as well. We got some stuff coming out soon,
Mm-hmm.
some gaming related stuff. I know
Yeah,
there
we
wasn't
do
an
have a
episode of Oh, go ahead.
we do have a website launching. Vash will give you more
Yes.
information on that eventually.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be coming up soon. You could read some articles, some reviews, and all that stuff from like anime and other movies and all that stuff that have
Mm.
come out. I know there wasn't an I know there wasn't an anime lately episode this week. That's because life found a way to get in the way. So
Mm-hmm.
be sure to stay tuned for next week. Anime lately podcast will be back for another episode, whether it's pre-recorded or a live stream. Hey, guess you'll have to wait and find out, huh, everybody? Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's all the plugs there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? I'm just going to take the time now to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what I just told you to do? I'm not going to lead you astray. I promise you. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notified of every time that a video or live stream goes up on the channel. And, we are known as AniMa Studio throughout all of our social media networks. Just remember that's we spelled with a 3. And also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after an event. And of course, as always, feedback is appreciated because we are nothing without you guys tuning into the show. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa Studio. Thanks again to our production team of Vash, Watkins, Drop This Box, Rome, and Jokester, as well as special thanks to JB and Abe. Thank you once again for joining us, and remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one.